why they didn't do cheap. All right.
is. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready to rumble?
Gentlemen,
Johnny, Andy.
gentlemen, and Tim. What up?
See, I don't qualify as gentleman, huh?
You're just no military brat like me, or military rat, or however. Not brat, whatever. What's
Rat.
up? Yeah. Maybe more like a desert rat or something. Yeah. What you guys up to?
Well, I'm installing an ESU Locksound version 5 decoder into a Thomas the Tank Engine.
Well, of course you are. That's awesome. Are you going to use that the code that Martin or the setup Martin had done, where he used the actual sound effects from Ringo, proper sound effects and all that stuff?
I actually went and got my own sound effects. Yeah. It happens.
It does. Sometimes.
Well, because I was trying to get in.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Sorry. That's a good way to start the show. Sorry about that. That's not my better side, and I don't really have a good side, so that's not saying much. Yeah, I've been making some strides on that. There's a lot of it really tipped in. I've got some lights hung up here where I can see, but I've got some 12-volt LED strips for lighting this up. Working on getting a workbench here. Put the workbench here, but redo that workbench. I got some of the materials for it. I got some new tools. I'm working on it. Gotta have tools. I built a sled for the table saw. Now it is a very small table saw. Here's the surface because I basically got it torn apart right now. It's a very small table saw, which is exactly what you need working with, the kind of materials that we often work with building structure kits. So, and for cutting ties out of wood or printed circuit material. So I got a small table saw, but I found this. Which is basically a whatever.
Serving tray.
Right, but made out of wood, meant for you to do something crafty with, basically, in the craft section for a couple dollars. So I flip it over, and we'll cut the shape of the saw out of it, and then use some ply I've got. I think this is 5 ply, or I'm sorry, 5 mil, and then I've got some 3 mil, I think, smaller stuff that I'm gonna work with and cut the insert out, and then step back and put the other stuff in to fill this gap in, so the saw will set right down in the tray and give me a bigger work surface, and then stick me some legs up, stick me some legs on the bottom of it, and then I can pick the whole thing up, and then I'm going to make a. Angie's got what gave me the idea is Angie got this little wooden picture frame bit for you to do something crafty with, to glue something to, or a little craft picture frame made out of natural pine. So I'm gonna but they've got it in just a plain plaque style, and I'm going to make a little sled, that you'd use on a big miter saw. You'd make a big table sled to slide through to make repeatable cuts, and I'm going to make a very small version of that. And I'll have a work surface and that little sled that I can make repeatable cuts with, all in very miniature versions. Oh, not anytime soon, since the higher end version of that machine, you can spend $45,000 on a machine. $6,000 monitor that does not come with the stand, and the stand costs $1,000. I love Macintosh, but that's the cost of a mid-market Mercedes. So no, nor do I have a use for that stuff anyway. That powerful. Yeah, speak up. Let's see. Possibly. You sound fine. You sound pretty decent in here, but
Yeah, because that's
right.
Set. Phone X split problems. Got the microphone hot on here. Not showing your external microphone as a choice. I do like that software, but it does seem a bit finicky. Okay. Yeah, everybody hang tight in the feed just a second. Johnny's going to restart. We'll be back in 10 seconds or so when he'll have audio. In theory.
I think Ralph got lost in the roundabout.
Alrighty.
Are we back live yet, Johnny?
Yeah.
Can you guys hear Johnny talking now?
Yeah, they can hear it.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Now, that part of it's all back together. That is the right. Black wire. Let's take the black wire to the black wire. How's that?
Well.
Everything got back working okay now?
Yeah, but I think I better leave well enough alone.
What's that?
No, the
A pair doesn't like it when you're using two cameras and all.
Right, you have to interpret it between. Like, I'm using a peer, and I can do things like, so my front camera, and this is normally my down camera, bitch top camera. They are in a picture-in-picture configuration. Here's the trade room overshot. It's a little messy in there because I've been working in here. I've got all my curtains pulled apart.
Yeah.
And then here's a quad view of those various cameras, including the one that's missing right now is my mobile rig that I can walk around. It's on the, what's that thing you bought? The Osmo?
Oh, the gimbal.
Yeah, and I've got the Osmo mobile for walking around to show you guys stuff in the layout room. And then, things like, desktop views and, technical hand standbys and logos, and, regardless. But it requires, I have to have a dedicated piece of software for doing that. And that works regardless of people streaming. So for anybody who's participating in a peer or Skype or whatever you happen to be doing video with, there's a lot to love and a lot to hate about this piece of software, especially kind of cost. Yeah. But it works if you have a powerful enough computer.
You say you're putting the sound in, Thomas, Tim?
Yep.
Okay. Dave was asking if Thomas can talk to his friends now.
Not quite yet.
Marty wanted to know if you use a Minicam, Andy.
Yes, on Windows and some I've used some on Mac, but on this machine that I just recently built, it's Minicam, which I despise their new pricing model. I hate that everything is going to subscription basis. If you have to pay, you get a little discount if you pay for it by the year. It's kind of a no-brainer, so I did pay for it by the year, but I despise that. I would rather just pay a price and have something, but nope, it's a subscription price. I think I bought the 12 camera license. I had bought it a few years ago prior to it becoming a license, but it being a recurring license, or I had bought it when it was what they call perpetual, or you buy it and own it, and but I couldn't upgrade, and I'd only bought the 2 camera license, thinking, well, I'll buy the upgrade pack later if I needed 4 or 5 or 6. I planned on doing that, but then they stopped selling the perpetual. Plus, I wanted the upgrades. But I bought it a couple years ago, but none of my computers were really that powerful enough to run it. I mean, they were powerful enough, but over an hour or two, it really puts a hurt on a regular system.
Yeah.
And recently, as a part of what we're doing here, Johnny's spent money buying all kinds of new hardware too, and I got to keep up with the Joneses or the Johnny Rebs, as it were. So I've done a bunch for my for my lighting stuff here lately, getting lights, and I've been getting cameras and Osmo gear and such. Got my audio stuff sorted out mostly, except for a wireless audio thing, which should be here next week. And now I got my cameras in pretty good shape in my workshop, so I still got some work, but it's a constant thing. Just working on audio, video, lighting. That's a big undertaking to take on all the time. I feel for you, brother.
All right, real quick. Lloyd wants to know what cameras you use, and then we'll get back to trains.
Yeah, okay, so this one, let's see. Okay, this one is a Logitech 922, the replacement for the 920 that I broke not long ago. This one, my benchtop, which should be my benchtop camera, is a Logitech 530, C530, because I've had it for a while. I do plan on replacing that one with a much better camera, and I will probably go to an HDMI capture system like what you're doing, Johnny, just not yet. The trade room camera is a network or IP camera. It is a Unify Flex. Looks like that. It's about yay tall. It's a PoE powered, so that switch powers it, much like that light panel I showed you guys last week. Or you can power it with an injector, just a little block, again, just like with that light I showed you last week. I really love PoE powered stuff, or power over Ethernet. stuff. So, and those cameras, that camera like that is a network camera that, well, you do it with Raspberry Pi for those cameras. You're going to spend about $55, $60 on that. This is a $75 camera. Like, done. Like, buy it and it's done. So, I got one for now. I will get more of them, obviously, of course. And it has some kind of neat.
Yeah.
So,
Lloyd said he'll talk later about it.
okay, no. All right. Well, that'll be fine. We'll come back to that here later.
You know how Andy is when you get him talking about electronics.
Yeah. Gary Corbin popped in tonight. How you doing, Gary? Yeah, we got Billy here. He's talking with Marty about barbecue rabbit and all that. Got the usual suspects like Dave, BNSF, of course, Lloyd and Marty, and who was it? We had something else up here. Butch is here. Dave's Hobbies. Ram Ferry. Good morning, sir. I know it's early for you. Cabana Bob. Yeah, I thought I saw him sneak in here earlier. Dave's Hobbies.
Oh.
Whatever works, Railroad.
Gary Corbin's building a bucket elevator? What kind of contraption is that? What's a bucket elevator?
I thought he said he's ordering it. It's already pre-built.
Huh.
And
Like for like a 5-gallon bucket kind of contraption?
no, it's one of those big mining buckets.
Oh, okay. See, I kind of assumed he was talking about.
He's building the bucket elevator.
Hardware.
He's
I
got.
thought he was initially. That's what I thought. The Bob?
Mr.
Or,
Bob.
Yes.
What's up, to Bob? Okay.
Oh yeah, I guess so. He said, "Nah, building one." Okay.
That's what it sounded like he was.
And Marty's off to find lunch. And Nick Barber's in.
Well, bring us a prod back, Marty.
He said he's thinking more like Chinese.
Okay.
Mr. Possum just got in.
Well, he's close enough to there. Don't they make that? Don't they ship that to him fresh?
Yeah. Said the bucket elevators for the cement preheat tower, Gary.
Okay, that makes sense.
Still wearing your floaties, Bob? You're muted, Bob.
Can't hear you, Bob. Your headset's muted, Bob.
No, his mouth is muted. Yeah, the headset works fine.
Well, either way, we can't hear him.
Nope.
Now I know why.
There we go.
For some reason, it decided to reset my microphone settings. Because it's like, I haven't been in here long enough and often enough. I'm just going to mess with you.
Yeah.
So, well, my floaties are kind of being pulled out of the closet. Where I-29's flooded again, so that was lovely to find that out on Sunday on my way back from Chattanooga.
Oh, you was in Chattanooga?
Yes, I was. Down at the SER convention.
Uh,
Oh yeah.
All right,
And
I
I
was
went
trying to
on-
figure that one out because I saw Shane Mason and
Yep.
oh gosh,
Lionel Strang was
yeah,
there.
Lionel. That's I was trying to think of that.
Pele Soborg, James Wright,
Yeah,
myself.
Wow. That's a
Yeah.
crew.
That was a crew.
if I'd known about it, I'd run up there. Come not but about 2 hours from there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
about 3 for me. I should have done that. There's a lot of cool stuff for railroads in Chattanooga. Obviously, there is.
Yeah, we went down there as special guests for the ScaleTrains.com's Hiawassee River Rail private excursion trip that we took.
Wow.
That was pretty nice.
Yeah.
250 people on a train going through the backwoods of the Appalachians. Ain't bad.
Yeah,
They run it up from Chattanooga up toward like Oakdale or toward Knoxville. There's those 2 lines there. Both are spectacular.
Yeah. Yeah, this one's headed right toward the North Carolina border. And we stop right before we get there, so
it's
Oh,
following
yeah.
64 across then.
yeah. So if you find Benton, Tennessee, just up the road a little bit north toward Etowah, that's where the Hiawassee River Rail starts.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the TBRM's museum is
Yeah,
on
right.
that side of Chattanooga, and then I've made that run from there to Knoxville, and of course I
Mhm.
made that run from there up through Oakdale toward Cincinnati a bunch as well. But Chattanooga's got some spectacularly interesting stuff, like the old loops they call it, the L&N loops.
Mhm.
They cut around that a long time ago, but I mean, it is quite literally. It's one of those things like a lot of freelancers say. If you can do anything in modeling, because you'll find an incarnation of that in the real world. It's a helix in the real world,
Mhm.
much like
Yeah.
much like the whatever that wall alongside
Tehachapi?
right. It's much like that, but it's actually more like a railroad helix. It's out going around the mountain, like.
Well, that's what we actually took. We actually went around the helix.
Oh
We
yeah.
went across the Trestle Bridge and then back
Oh,
where
right.
we came.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had,
So I'm putting a video up for that. So if you want to watch
Good
that
deal.
later.
Look forward to that.
I'm
I had
actually
the
about
invite
ready
in
to
my
do it.
email, and I didn't have the money to go. So
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna be down this area, Bob. Let me know next time.
Yeah, it was one of those I didn't want to say anything. I don't know. It was just so crazy this past month. I've been driving all over the place.
well, now that I know that you were
Yeah.
there, and James Wright was
Yeah.
there, and Pelly Silborg was there, I should have gathered
Yeah.
up the money and went myself.
Yeah, Pele did a couple clinics. He was the keynote speaker at the banquet Saturday night. That was a pretty good one. Yeah, nice story. And I mean, it wasn't too grand. It was just mostly, hey, you're at the hotel. Here's clinics. So there wasn't really any train show,
Yeah,
which was kind of a bummer.
I don't think they ever do that when they do the SIRS.
Yeah. Well, the next one that's coming up will have a train show at it. So that's, if you want to go to that one, they'll have that one. I can't remember exactly where it is, but it's south of Chattanooga on the way to Atlanta. If I saw the city, I would remember where it is.
That's definitely down in Johnny's area then, isn't it?
Yeah,
Wait, I may actually have that.
probably somewhere towards Smyrna or Marietta. That's where a lot of them live at.
Cartersville, Georgia,
Oh, yeah.
June 19th and 20th.
That's the next SIR meeting
Yep, that's the next SIR convention.
this year.
No, 2020.
Oh,
So, yeah.
yeah. Cartersville's not too far away.
Mm-hmm.
Ralph said, Jason, you got to quit talking so much. Let everybody else get a few words in.
Yeah, well, I was looking up on maps the railway museum.
Yeah, Dave, BNSF wants to know if you bought any scout train stuff, Bob, while you was there.
No, I didn't actually, and because I basically had everything I needed,
Yeah.
and then they had a sale. I was like, wow, at a warehouse sale, and they had a big blow that was $200 off.
Wow.
Wow.
In
I was like,
scale?
what? Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. He says he has no use for that, big awesome stuff. It's all gonna be that bitty stuff.
And since I had just about everything I needed from there, and what I do have on pre-order isn't in yet, so I couldn't pick it up while I was there. So, darn.
Yeah.
That won't be here for another 3 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks. Yeah, I'm not sure if the prices will change due to tariffs and all that. Who knows? We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But they're pretty much set because we pre-ordered them, so they can't really change them, is what Shane was saying. So, but yeah, it was a fun trip. They were very, very organized with this whole thing. You know, at this time we have a sale. At this time we're eating. You better be done by this time because the buses are showing up, and you're getting on this bus, you're getting on that bus, you're being in this car. You know, everybody was lined up, and it was a very organized amount of chaos for 250 people to get on a train.
Yeah.
And back. It was no problems that I ever saw. It was really good. All got fed, everything was organized, everybody got in a line. It's like, man, it was like a railroad operation or something.
They're old cattle guys.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a nice trip. A lot of green. A little hard to see the river with all the trees in the way, but
Yeah. Well, with all the rain
good.
we've had, everything greened up pretty good
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
year. Possum says he has a hard time going to train shows and not buying anything.
Yeah. I was amazed I didn't buy anything. Of course, I just bought a brand new truck, so I was like, I don't know. I need to make a payment.
Yeah.
So we'll see how my buying goes here in the next few months. Needed a new vehicle. That was a priority. So
Oh, yeah.
if you can't get to work, you can't make a living.
Yeah, it's funny how that works.
Yeah. So Martin goes, Marcel de Bob. Haven't heard that one before.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, Gary said, gotta have wheels to pay the bills.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Can't run a railroad without the wheels. Can't get to work in a truck or a car without wheels. You'd be walking a lot.
Yeah.
Hang on. What do you call maglev? They call it a train.
Yeah.
There are some wheels involved in that, though, but only
There
like
probably is.
States.
Well, when it stops moving, it probably has to sit on something.
Yeah, when it comes down to speed, slows down, it uses some wheels or it uses some upper wheels. So you can call it, but when it's going down the track at 300 kilometers an hour, there's no wheels involved. They still call it a train, though. So that really, really
They call semis a train too, Andy.
That's right. So the definition, we have an idea that if it runs on rails, it's a train. But that can't be the clarification. The trade has to be multi-units. Lashed together has to be the clarification of trade. But then is piggyback trucks clarify? So you'd have to clarify. We're interested in rail trades or whatever.
Yeah, as long as you got a power unit and something being pulled behind it that's not more than one.
Yeah.
I guess that's a train.
Okay.
You got an A train configuration and B train, which is usually a tractor and 2 trailers, and an A train is a tractor and a trailer.
Well, see, Maglev, there is no powered equipment in that train. The track is effectively the locomotion. Right. It is so. The definition of this is really tough. Now we call ourselves model railroaders. A lot of new fine scale or these RPM guys, the railway prototype modeler guys, tends to call themselves railway or railroad modelers as opposed to model railroaders. There's a clarification and difference there. Technically, our hobby is rail transport modeling. Technically.
Yeah.
It's a term that I never hear anybody use, but if you go to Wikipedia and try to find this, model railroading will point you to rail transport modeling.
Proprietary guided path rail system.
All right, I'm good with that. Well, everything is more complicated. You got to add syllables.
The more syllables, the more complicated, and
and expensive. Normally,
expensive or intellectually sounding.
That's right. Yep. So what it's like meet the new or Emperor's New Shoes kind of concept. Here, you must have this new thing that is more syllables long, and it's much more expensive. Why should I buy that? It's much more expensive. Well, it has more syllables. I mean, everybody wants more syllables, right?
I had to spend years and years in school to learn how to do that medical term.
Yeah, that's
you owe me a lot of money for that.
That's right. Terminology classes.
Yep. Expensive scale railroad transporting. That's another one.
Yeah.
Well, at least we don't have to pay the same price that the real railways do for their locomotives.
Well, just the scrap steel cost of a mile of track is enough to build any dream empire you would ever want to build. So, thankfully, not everything scales in our hobby, like gravity, friction. There's a lot of things that don't scale exactly right, and we have to fake them as a part of operations or as modeling or scenic or for collective compression or for all kinds of reasons like that. Thankfully, the economics don't scale correctly either, because even at 87, the cost still. Right.
Yeah, I guess I'll be getting back on John's in the next week or so.
How long has it been since you worked over there? I remember the last time you were telling us about what you had done over there. I don't know that we've had an update on that recently.
Yeah, it's been about a month and a half.
Last thing you were doing was working toward getting the mainline track down. Is that what you're still working with, or?
Well, just getting everything hooked up so I can wire it to see how it's going to run.
Yeah.
Runs pretty decent, then we'll slide it over and put the cork down and then attach the rail to that.
All right.
Billy is asking any info on the new BLI N scale Mikados.
I haven't heard much on them. Suppose they're coming out at some point. Yeah, at some point.
Yeah.
Kato used to have a really nice one of those in id scale. Right?
Mhm.
Was Kato, right?
Yeah.
I thought so. It's a particularly good steam locomotive. In my opinion at the time, and I was doing some id scale modeling at the time, so I pick on id scale, but it's an entirely fondness that I pick on it from because I've been an id scale modeler. But I thought I still think id scale is rather difficult to be a steam era modeler in id scale.
Mhm.
If you're first iteration diesel, not a problem.
Yeah,
Everything's
Billy
there.
said Kato no longer made those Mikados. Sad.
That's sad because that was a spectacular in any scale, regardless, which that's typically true of Kato stuff. But in any scale, that was a spectacular locomotive.
And Glass, to
Yeah.
kind of jump backwards a little bit, said rail transport modeling avoids the railway versus railroad issue.
Well, that's part of the argument with the difference in model railroading and railroad modeling. Shouldn't make any difference in my estimation. That term should be the same, but there's popular connotations that separate those two. So it's about which one's important to you. If you're a modeler first that happens to be related to railroad, like most model railroaders are, you care more about model trains than you do the real thing. If model is the priority, then you say model trains. If what's most important to you is replicating the prototype, so the prototype modelers have headed toward the railroad modeler nomenclature instead of the model railroader, model railroader nomenclature. So I think it goes from this scale of proportion, like we talked about in the views show, that there's no such thing as freelance or prototype in my estimation, that it's a scale, that everybody floats somewhere in the middle. At the beginning, you have enthusiasts, train enthusiasts, model railroad enthusiasts. That's your toy train guys, all the way up to very, very, very freelance. And then model railroaders is this wide spectrum across the middle. And then the railroad modelers, the more, are the guys who are obsessive about it.
Yeah, you got a level of realism in just about every scale or group of people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but there are scales that are particularly tuned to it. Like S scale and O scale are scales where you are one or the other. You are either a toy train enthusiast on the very freelancest, if that's a way to say that, of the side where it's, where it is strictly toy trains. There are 3 rail guys who run everything. They don't care what it is. Don't care about ear. Don't care about scale and proportions. Put Hot Wheels on it. Doesn't matter. Nothing. No offense to them, but there's a certain that's toy train enthusiasts or very, very, very freelance folks. And then you have, but you don't have a lot of middle of the road guys in O scale. They're either that or they're diehard Proto 48 guys because it's so hard to do O scale at a high fidelity that the only people doing it are the guys who are extremely serious about it. Same thing with kind of S scale.
Yeah, Dave
said
said.
You got the wide range.
Dave BNSF said first U.S. prototype in scale that actually ran great was the Kato.
Mikado. Yeah, Kato
Yeah.
Mikado.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. I got a little tongue twisted.
It is a rhyming word. So now Dave wants to know which road names I have on order for the Dash 9s. I believe I went with BNSF. I'll have to check. Maybe I'll check my pre-order. But I think I went with the BNSF.
Cool Tropolis just popped in. Hey. That's what he said. Yeah, he's asking what's the topic tonight. Well, whatever you want to talk about.
We've been talking about train conventions in Chattanooga. We've been talking about river excursions that I was on. We've been talking about prototype versus freelance scales, Mikados, N scale, HO. Have we talked about electronics yet?
No, Andy talked about his new table saw.
Oh, I thought I heard him talking about Raspberry when I first came in, so maybe.
Oh, briefly, I was talking about
Briefly.
the new cameras because I thought about doing
cameras.
do all the cameras. I thought about doing all the cameras with Raspberry Pis, but I could buy these pre-manufactured cables for about $10 more than a Raspberry Pi, all in, maybe $5 more, and it's a commercial product, 1080p, etc. Now I may do cameras with the ESPs, Speed, or Gert Muller, who's been a new friend of our community and popped in here and stuff, and he's super tech savvy. I met him at Texas, and he's doing a lot of really cool stuff with ESPs and doing some really cool stuff with computer vision or like facial recognition for rolling stock effectively instead of using RFID or something. It's amazing what he's doing. It's spectacularly inventive, and he which is amazing because he literally wrote the book on RFID like years ago. He wrote and published a book on RFID for inventory systems using them on a railroad as his example case. And now he's decided to not do RFID, instead heading toward this computer vision, machine learning, camera, facial recognition, basically for freight cars stuff. And you can buy these little ESP cameras for like $10. So I may do more with that. I probably will do more with that. But for the for the overview of the layout stuff, I mean, $75 for that 1080p with night vision, motion detection, shoot.
All right, we got a couple here. Justin Johnson. Bob, making the N-Scale convention at the end of June.
Still up in the air. It's my wife's birthday that exact same day.
Uh-oh.
So
I don't
it's
think
always,
you're going
it's
to
always
make
a
it.
crapshoot.
Yeah,
Always a crapshoot.
I don't think you're going to make it.
Be gentle with that negotiation, as if you didn't know.
Yeah. I mean, it was my birthday yesterday, so.
Your birthday was yesterday?
Yes, it was.
So was mine.
Happy
I know.
birthday.
Okay.
That's why I wrote on your things like, "Hey, we share the same birthday."
That's right. I think I remember us talking. That's right. Thank you.
Alrighty, here we go. Cooltropolis. Let's talk about curves and easements. How much easement do you all add to your curves? Like if I were using a 30 radius curve, how much easement?
It's not a radius. There's some math that you can do, and Ron's Trades and Things done a spectacular video on it. Broke it down as well as anybody I've seen on how to do it in an easy to understand without crazy math. You can do the math on transient curves or easements. By all means, it's an interesting pursuit if you really love mathematics, and I like doing it. It was interesting. It was some really interesting calculus for parabolic curves and whatever. It's complicated stuff. It's not necessary though. Use the bit stick method, and you can approximate, and it's plenty adequate. So my recommendation is if you have a 30-inch radius curve, offset your curve 2 inches in. So you've got a 30-inch radius curve here. Offset it 2 inches this way and 2 inches this way, so that your curve radius fixed would be like this. And then step back about a quarter of your curve and use the bent stick method to just extend that curve out to meet your tangent track or straight track, and just bend that stick and gain 2 inches. If you're like 22 inches, gain 1.5 inches, 18 inches, gain about 1 inch. Although, if you're down lower than 24, I would not use easements at all because you need all the radius you can get. But the moment you get above 24, you got a 26-inch radius. If you've got a 28-inch radius, I would rather have a 26 with easements than a 28 every day. I think and I think personally, I think an easement is the single best modification or adjustment you can make to your auto railroad to make it look correct and to make it run better. Easements are critical to the prototype and dies.
Yeah, I think it was about a year ago, last year, or something like that. Fish Plate Films did a good video on easements too.
Oh, I see that too.
Made it very simple.
Yep. Did he use the bit stick method? I remember watching his as well, but I don't remember it. Or did he do that?
Yes, yeah, no, he didn't do any math, and it was coming out right. I really don't remember. It's been so long ago.
And it's close enough. The bit stick method has been used for years and years and years, and it's entirely adequate enough. Just take a stick, match the curve, let it naturally flow out to the straight section, mark it with a line, go about your way. If you're trying to figure it out in software, then I guess it depends on the software. X-Track CAD, which I prefer personally, although I don't love CAD software for track plane design that well, or I haven't found any that I love. But it has an easement calculator, and it'll do the math for you for the parabolic curve calculation. But if you can do the stick's easy, and it's entirely adequate.
Yeah, Coach Chopless, he said he just wanted it to look right.
Yeah, bit stick's going to basically, so the bit stick is basically, if you use like a yardstick and you match the curve for half the yardstick or something like that, it's naturally going to find its way to straight as it comes away. All you got to do is just twist it and bend it around until when it finds its way to straight, that straight lines up with your exiting tangent track that's offset by a couple inches. And you could, throw it out on a piece of wood and draw some lines and play with it till you find what works for it for particular radiuses. In my case, I'm using my tightest radius on the main line of the visible track is a 34, and for my easements to come out right, it took about 2.5 inches. So a 30-inch radius, about 2 inches, give or take.
Yeah, Cotropolis said he's got any rail. Billy said he's got SCARM. And I think it'd probably be a whole couple-hour discussion to try and figure out either one of those or longer.
I don't know if they have easement calculation in them. I don't know enough about them. If they do, great. By all means, use it. But X-Track CAD does, and I guess it works, but I just haven't needed it. So, because I haven't, if you're one of those folks that are, and I'm envious of them, I think it's an awesome thing to do, to design your track work all in CAD. Like I said before, it would be natural for me to do it with school for architecture. I didn't finish that degree, but I was going to. But I just haven't loved CAD for designing track planes because I can't visualize the viewing angles that I'm trying to manipulate. But if you're doing it and doing like Robert is, he has designed it all in software and printed it out full size on a whole stack of, 11 by 8.5 sheets and then taped them all together. That's awesome. That's great. I mean, I think you need to get it on paper. I just use rolls of brown paper and turnout templates to effectively get the same thing. But if you're doing that, then yes, you need to get your transitions or easements programmed in. And I guess it depends on the software how to get there.
So, real quick, Tim, how's it coming on the decoder?
Oh, yeah, that well?
Yeah, I guess so.
It wasn't coming out too bad. It just wasn't real loud, so I'm going to try some other sound files here.
What kind of speaker are you using? Sugar
ESU.
Okay, is that their little sugar cubes or what are their oblongs or rounds or something?
Sugar Cube.
Yeah, man, those are for the size. They're pretty hard to argue with.
One of those.
Yeah, man, especially with their little enclosures that everything just matches up. That's a kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah, cool Tropolis, which I think, we'll be better off if we talked about this on nightly chat. But real quick, one of the main features of my layout is a 30th radius curve. I want it to look right. How much lift do you think I can get away with?
How much lift? You mean like grade? Is he talking about?
Yeah.
Grades are sensitive. The thing that controls your grade is the combination of the thing that controls your grade and radius is equipment.
He said, yeah.
Yeah, so it depends. So all I can give you is my personal insight about that. What set my grade and my radius is a couple key pieces of equipment. One, my radius had to be large. One, I wanted it for cosmetic reasons because I run massive articulated locomotives, and while they run on tight curves, that's what they were designed by the prototype for, was super tight curves. They'll go around tighter curves that a Berkshire, rigid locomotive, my huge 20-inch articulated will. Heck, they'll go around 18-inch radius, but they don't look good doing it. So, and I'm going on a passenger train with tight coupling and diaphragm. So that set my radius. My grade is set mostly by train length, because that determines the number of cars. But then also I could have had a much longer train, but then I couldn't get the sidings for it. So the way I've solved that problem, to make you have to have a helper. You have to have a helper or pusher to get to the top, was to massively overweight the cars, which I had fallen in love with. But so how much weight per car do you have in each car? How long a train are you going to run? Do the math on that and figure out what your locomotives will haul up a grade. That will set your maximum grade, because you can do all kinds of crazy things with grades, but if the train won't get to the top, it's pointless. So how much train do you have to get to the top, and what's the typical motive power assigned to that train? How much will it pull versus how much you're trying to pull? That's going to set your grade. Oh, and another thing to take into account with grades is that curve rate, it's not about grade that we're talking about, it's resistance. Grade causes resistance, and so does radii, or curves. John Allen, from Gory Defeated fame, famously had a really nice calculator or index or spreadsheet that correlated grade plus radius equals effective grade. So if you had a 2% grade and an 18-inch radius, it had an effective grade of 3%. That'd be a good thing to have that correlation from. And Jason is turned into Clark Kent, I think. He's to hide his identity there.
Yeah. And Dave BNSF said, do it like Steve Brown, whatever that is.
It's my railroad.
Yeah, yeah.
It's your railroad, and you can.
If it starts to slip, put your finger behind the engine and keep pushing.
Well, there were two. It's your railroad, and you can do whatever you want. That's like the what is that old adage? You could whatever. There's an old stupid adage about making up your own facts, whatever. It's your own railroad, but physics and gravity, that's going to happen. I don't care how freelance or whatever you want to make it up. Oh, in my room, gravity is not 1-to-1. Gravity is 1 to 1.2. You can claim that, but gravity's going to win.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Tim's playing with the sound files.
That's actually on the decoder right now.
Using a load programmer, I guess, right?
Yep, of course.
Yeah, I was pretty sure you had to have that, and I was pretty sure you had one as Skip Redeemer.
Just trying
I've
to
talked
remember
about it forever, but every time I go to order something, I basically just forget I thought about it.
I asked to order my Tuesday night, I think, from Yankee Dabbler. He called me Wednesday morning, and I got to before he shipped them out, and I got them today. So
Awesome. I guess that was the best price you found on them here lately.
oh yeah,
He often is pretty good. And I want to try one of the new 5.0s also. So.
Let's see what I get here.
Now you can't raise and lower the blade on that saw, can you?
No, but with a slant arrangement, I will have some similar controls like
yeah,
that.
you
So
put a what do you call it? You can actually put a taper jig on the sled.
that's right. So I'm building a slant out of craft picture frames effectively because it's so small. But I'll have a much bigger table, like a runoff table, which will be plenty big of runoff table for the small material that we work with, with that. And then I'll fill it all in and bring it up level, and then I'll actually make it a little wider than this and make it, a nice table to work surface. And then what do you call those? Miter sled? Or no, that's not. I thought of it a few minutes ago, and now I forgot again. And there's multiple types of sleds, but anyway, build a sled that I can lay on and make repeatable cuts.
Yeah, that's normally what it's called in woodworking. It's just a sled.
Yeah, and I've been on a bit of a workshop woodworking YouTube kick lately, of course, with this stuff.
Yeah.
I ordered the parts for my dust system. I ordered one of those cyclones and a couple other things so I could build a dust system. Although I'm not going to do major stuff in here, but even what I've got is already going to make dust enough to be a problem. So I'm going to, do a vacuum system with hoses and a simple one. And I've got a building out back I started cleaning out. I'm actually going to build a genuine wood shop back there. So for the big, basic stuff.
Yeah, Dave's BNSF says the crosscut sled.
That's the one I'm building. And there's a couple of different styles of sleds that people use for different purposes. And there's and you can use a crosscut sled for doing certain dado stuff too. But then there's another sled that is particularly beneficial for dado, for repeatable dado cuts. But that's what I want, crosscut sled. I'm gonna build a like a little bitty miniature crosscut sled. And so I could get my hands back.
Because actually the one I had on my table saw, I could do finger joints with it and just pull the plug out, just use it for cross cuts. And like you said, for repeatable cuts, you just put a stop block on it. Yep.
So I'm building basically, and this saw has and I measured it and mic'd it actually. It's actually reasonably accurate given its purpose, but it has it has a fence that has this protect so you could, a guard or whatever. And I had initially didn't put it on because I don't generally need that, but it's a great place to rest your hand while you're working material through. You rest your hand here, you're protecting what you set it. And then it has a square, of course, on a sled or on a track, which actually
it did.
It did. That's right. Which actually is both handy, of course, but it's actually making my my work surface that I'm working with rather complicated to account for this sled needing to be able to slide in and out further than the saw through my work surface. I've got it figured out, but it did make it a bit more complicated to do. Yeah, I do have a router. Actually, I have a couple routers. And I have the router attachment for my dribble, so I can route it. But I think I'm going to do a 2-ply arrangement, and then I'll just leave the on the top surface. I'll just leave the gap, here as it leaves. Here, I'll just, I'll put the primary surface in. Then once I put the top surface in, I'll run it out past the framework I have on this little whatever that thing is, and then I'll leave the gap for this so that this can.
All right.
Well, real quick, Marty, just to let you know, you just missed Andy dropping his miter gauge for his table saw on the floor, so now he's going to have to recalibrate it once he gets the bend out of the rail.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So it's not real loud, but
Well, that'd be hard to show here anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, maybe Marty could help you with that on the night chat, because he's in here. He's already done one of those.
Yeah, I've got
obviously
his
it's
file.
pretty loud because it drives people crazy at the expositions.
I may just have to actually go in and edit the file and raise the file sound. Raise the amplitude in the file.
Are you at 100% in the what would be Dakota Pro, but in your CV settings, are you at 100%?
Yeah. Master volume's at 100 and the sound setting for that's at 100.
Which that's generally fairly loud. On my locomotives, on my Broadways, I'm running them at like 15%. Because I don't want them to be very loud.
Sound slot setting.
I love the sound we have in our locomotives, but
Yeah, it's
I
a
don't want it to be loud.
Alrighty, well, anybody got any closing statements they want to make, or? That's pretty involved there, Bob.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out something profound to say.
Well, a good
Watch
thing
my
about
channel.
what, Bob?
Watch my channel, that's all I can say.
Yeah, there you are.
Got a new video coming up, so it's been about a couple months, so it's like about time.
Yep, it is about time.
Yeah.
I would say there's a good thing about being a loudmouth because I don't leave a lot unsaid. So
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, real quick, Marty said that he had to put the file in Audacity and raise the level and use some compression.
yeah.
So,
That's what I figured I was gonna have to do.
alrighty. Yeah.
Different audio editor than Audacity, but
Yeah. Alrighty, well, we done gone a little bit over the 1 hour mark here, so I kind of let it go since I had to swap out stream software. Maybe one of these days I'll get this thing figured out. If anybody knows anything about XSplit, get in touch with me. I could sure use some help on it. About the sound anyway, getting mics set and all that. Alrighty, well, I guess with that said, we'll close this one out for another night. Be careful. We'll do one little fancy thing here. Huh. Yeah, never mind. Won't do a fancy thing. It's set up in XSplit and not on OBS. But anyway, let's see what we got for next week real quick. June the 11th, we got the fine scale build. And that's going to be the final for 19 because they're going on vacation after that.
well, till after the summer.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We'll all be back in September, starting the 2020 series. But we also got on June the 12th, Who's Big Bill talking to? And then the 13th, of course, we're right back here again with Johnny Small Train Talk. So, with that said, have a good weekend. Try to stay dry. Because we getting
Yeah,
wet
well.
down here in the south, all the way across from Texas to here.
Yeah.
So,
No.
y'all have a good one. We'll catch you later. Be good.
Yep.